communication has always impacted the way we form relationships by connecting us to each other. From prehistoric times, when people only talked in person, then later by mail, then even later by telegraph, and then telephone, and now by computer and texting. But are our methods of communication the only things changing? How is digital communication impacting relationships? People that use online dating sites like eHarmony or social networks like Facebook and then texting to initiate relationships may hide behind these systems and reveal less information about themselves than they would if meeting in person. In his documentary, Catfish, Nev realizes how deceptive communication online can be. Nev and Megan hook up on Facebook. They quickly become friends, but their relationship soon blossoms into a long-distance romance. They email and chat, text and call, planning when they will meet. As Nev falls in love with Megan, she begins to act strangely, not revealing anything deep or personal about herself. Nev and a few of his buddies decide to investigate. They go to her home in Michigan and discover that Megan has lied about almost everything, including the picture she claims as her own and her age. Because their entire relationship existed only digitally, Megan could hide anything. Sadly, Nev believed everything she claimed. Nev, like Catherine, was shocked that the person he met was nothing like who he thought he knew and loved. If they had met in person first, she would not have been able to conceal so many things about herself, and Nev would not have fallen in love with a fake person. This is insane! If the internet becomes the primary way people communicate and meet, how can we depend on something so potentially deceptive? Forming relationships on the internet allows less meaningful, deep, or lasting relationships because they can be created with misleading or partial identities, like Megan's. When we meet someone, if we have to wonder whether the picture we see on their profile or the words we read describing them are real or accurate, our relationships will only ever reach a superficial level. In her article, Surfing Alone, Is Digital Technology Destroying Relationships?, Liz Colville argues, if you understand the language an email is written in, it is possible for it to have some deep emotional resonance. But there are only a few clues to tell you that it is not a newspaper article or a blog post written by just anyone. Reading how someone feels is not as emotionally effective as hearing someone say it. If I receive a text or an IM from someone telling me they love me, I do not accept it as deeply as I would if they told me in person. If I can look the person in the eye, hold their hand, give them a hug, what they are saying is more meaningful because they are taking time to be with me instead of just sending a message saying so. At this moment, I feel I am the most important thing, and this connection is what forms a meaningful relationship. There is a plethora of online dating sites available to the general public. eHarmony, Match.com, and many others advertise finding your soulmate without even having to leave your house. But who are you really meeting? eHarmony actually suggests what picture to post. For instance, men should shave because women prefer clean-shaven faces, and this would make them attractive to a larger population of available women. I wonder, who is this according to? I know, personally, I like men to have a little scruff, but since eHarmony suggests for men to shave, most do. The site includes must-have and can't stand lists where members put information about what they look for the most or the least in a person. People on eHarmony are looking for and expecting to find perfect people because they have a cookie-cutter definition of what a person should be like. eHarmony gives these tips so people will give the best representation of themselves. However, I think this process encourages more presentation than representation. Changing the way you look or how you behave eliminates important features that people should know about you. In a way, we can hide behind these improved identities and make ourselves the way we want to be, ignoring the consequences. We don't have to worry about what others think because no one will know until we meet in person. When you communicate face to face, it is not as easy to lie about your appearance or age, interests, personality, etc. because the other person is physically with you. The primary disadvantage of using the internet or texting to communicate is the loss of physical contact. This contact is essential in deciding how to react around people because we can see their body language. As the article, The Body is the Message, reveals, body language can be a big indicator of verbal contradiction. When you say something, your posture, hand movements, and overall demeanor reveal how you feel about what you are saying, like if you are being serious or sarcastic. When you communicate on eHarmony or Facebook, you don't see these movements. Even Colville says technology has established it as a luxury rather than a disorder that we do not as often have to deal with the physicality of people. to watch and be watched as facial expressions and body language unfold in reaction to words. We learn about one another to a much deeper extent when we see how people express themselves, their tone of voice, how they react and behave. For example, some relationships thrive online, only to be dismantled by awkwardness over dinner conversations because people are in face-to-face life and the speaker can't pause to type the perfect sentence or use the delete button. Things that are appropriate or acceptable to do over internet or texting conversations, like ignoring or delaying a response, would be completely awkward in face-to-face interactions. When I'm talking to someone, like across the table, almost any pause feels awkward and must be quickly filled with more talking. But when texting or on the internet, breaks or gaps in conversation are expected and accepted. When texting, people are probably multitasking and pausing to do something else like finish eating or brushing their teeth. But what we seldom consider is that the other person is actually stalling to think about the perfect reply. As Colville says, in the physical world we can't snap our fingers and disappear, but on the internet we are invisible unless we declare ourselves otherwise. We may eventually begin to be unable to communicate smoothly in physical interactions because we are so used to digital ones. We may become dependent on hiding behind the veil of our computer or phone screens, where we feel more brave and confident because we can present ourselves however we want to. If the trend continues of communicating only in the digital realm, this may become the only place we can truthfully interact. Digital technologies like online communication and texting run the greatest risk of harmfully affecting society when they are being used to initiate an intimate relationship because we are no longer ourselves, but the identity we use on our profile or phone.